Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the MyFootballWriter YouTube channel, and welcome back to a new instalment of NODGE Spotlight. It's our, well, I say weekly. It's almost like a quarterly Norwich preview and review of what's been going on as of late. We're going to be looking through the month of February so far and what's to come for Norwich City in the rest of the month. It's Freddie Humphrey-Wakefield and Will Grant here with you on MFW. But Will, before we dive into what has happened and what's going to happen, or at least what we think will happen, I should say. What's been going on with you? What's been going on in the personal life rather than just in the Norwich and footballing side of life?
Yeah, I don't think too many people would really care, to be honest. But I've had a couple or so birthday events across the country and overseas as well. Just recently went to Budapest, which was nice, and as well went for a little trip up to Liverpool as well. So I've had a very, very action-packed 2 weeks across Europe, if you would classify that as that. But overall, I'm doing really well. Norwich have definitely improved my mood and have kind of got this year off to a really good start. So I can't really complain too much. But as well as this, Freddie, I think this is our first time together since you made your debut on Final Score, which is an absolutely amazing achievement. I know you might get a bit red in the face me saying this, but that is generally such an incredible achievement. I think you might have touched on it as well in the last pod as well. But yeah, this is our first video as a duo doing our spotlight for a while. And I think that is such an impressive milestone. So I'm sure everyone at MFW is very, very proud of your efforts, mate. Well done.
No, that's extremely kind. No, that's not in our script, by the way. We script what we're going to talk about.
No,
That
no.
wasn't in there. That wasn't in the script. It's funny you say that because for anyone who's watching and who is watching Final Score, plans on watching it, I'm going to be on it on Saturday again. So if anyone likes to hear my voice, I'm going to be doing Southampton against Charlton. So that gives me the hilarious chance to just show the page of research just for Southampton there. I mean, you can't read it because it's too far away. But yeah, going to be doing Saints against the Addicts. But anyway, we don't need to worry about that because Norwich haven't got to play them for a while. Southampton has been moved because they're in the round of 16 of the FA Cup. 4:30 on a Sunday, they're going to be playing Leeds. That's horror. That's horror. You can't even go and do a weekend in Leeds. You know that. I was thinking about that. I was thinking, but no, it's not going to happen. Charlton, they don't play them until later in March, I think. But anyway, we'll move on from those two opponents. We'll go back into February. But first things first, I think really something although we've spoken about it in videos since his arrival and performances, but I think we need to start with the trajectory of Norwich at the moment. You know, they're 8 points off the relegation zone, they're 9 points off the playoffs as things stand. Yet they're 17th in the league, but you look at the form table over the last 10 games, they're top of it. 7 wins, 3 losses. You have to talk about the trajectory under Philippe Clement and the impact he's had, because no matter how much you speak about it, it almost feels like you're downplaying it in a way, because I don't think there's enough words to sum up just how big of a saviour he's been. I think that's the word I'd use to describe him. He's really just brought back that feeling of togetherness and that bit of unity. He's given Norwich fans something to believe in, and you're seeing it on the pitch with these performances. What is it? I think in the last 8 games rather, Norwich have won 7 of them. The only loss being to Middlesbrough, who are a point off top of the table and are arguably the best team in the league under Kim Hellberg. But it's ridiculous, isn't it? Just how transformed Norwich have been. We look at all the players who have improved in performances. We look at some of the new boys who have come in and have hit the ground running straight away. You know, we'll go on to a few of them in a moment. But just to sum it up with Clement, what do you think about the trajectory in Norwich? Where do you think they can go? Because playoffs is a possibility, but what do you think is perhaps reality rather than possibilities?
Yeah, I think the first point to state, mate, is simply what you mentioned there, is that I'm just so eternally grateful for what Philippe Clement has done to this side, because we looked at a really, really poor outlet across the first half of the season. We looked at a team who couldn't really score any goals. We looked at a team who looked so vulnerable from counter-attacks and just defensively overall, really. And what Clement has done is literally improved every single player. And a manager that could do that to a very, very good standard is a very, very good manager, in my opinion. you just got to look at some of the transformations. I mean, I think Pelle Matson for me is one of them. A player where I thought he made some quite critical errors under Manning's tenure at the club, but you look at him now under Clement, and he's been a man possessed. He's been absolutely fantastic, and I can't really think of a bad game which Matson has had under Clement's reign. So he's just one example as well. He's got the best out of Jovan Makama, and even as well the likes of Toure as well, who seem to really improve. Who seem to really impress over the last few weeks as well. And I think when I feel like if this was any other manager, and we had this Josh Sodden situation and saga going on, you would probably feel really worried and concerned about Norwich, because Sargent was such a big player for us overall. But almost Clement has just seemed to work with the players that he's got. Of course, he had some help in the transfer market, but when Norwich do have that financial resource like we do, we've got to take advantage of that, and that's what Clement has done as well. But it's just his ability to block out noise and still produce those 8 out of 10 performances, because I was really worried about this Sargent saga and how maybe it might affect the group, because he's a very big leader in that changing room, obviously before all this saga happened. But what he's done is he's just managed to block out all that noise and created a side where everyone is hungry and wants to fight for one another as well. And even as well, it just isn't from a results perspective as well. We are actually now, I'd say, a really good team to watch as well. The style of play is clear for all to see. I think at times we do show the right balance on maybe when to play a bit more direct, like into Makama and Toure. And I think the likes of Makama and Toure's height definitely helps this team go forward as well, because we've got someone who can hold the ball in attacking zones of the pitch as well, which is, I think, very important, and a Philippe Clement side as well. But we've also as well shown that technical precision in those deep areas as well, and that's really helped as well become a very athletic watch. So I've been very encouraged by the way how we've adapted in games as well, and just showed a bit of nous as well. And I feel like we've definitely respected the situation we're in, and it looks like hopefully maybe we've got a very good and promising end to the season as well. But it's just the ball speed and the tempo now which we play with, and it's just so exciting to watch, and I think it as well. It plays to the player strengths as well, because every player right now just looks so fluid and so sharp. And I think when you've got 11 players who are on the same wavelength, I think that can become very powerful. So huge compliments to Philippe Clement, and I am so grateful for all the work he's done so far, because I think without him, this team would probably be struggling quite a lot.
No, it certainly would. You look at how poorly they were playing under Liam Manning, and I don't like talking about him all too much, because it was a horrible time. It was a dreadful tenure for him, but of course, but as a human, of course, it's nice that he's got a new job at Huddersfield, but it seems like Huddersfield fans have now sort of figured out that it's not all happiness with Liam Manning. They've sort of had their new manager bounce, and I think I read that they've gone nearly 200 minutes without a shot on target. So I think that even they have now begun to find out that maybe it's not all that, and maybe Liam Manning's football isn't as good as you think it is based off his previous jobs before he came to Norwich. But I just think under Clement, for me, it's the attacking, just the style of play. They look brave. I agree with a lot of what you said. They look like they can take games by the scruff of the neck. They're on the front foot. And I remember I've said it many a time on here. The least I ever want to see from any team, especially Norwich, is to see them try, like genuinely giving effort. And I feel like you get that out of this team. Philippe Clement, is one of his first words to his Norwich players were, he doesn't ask, he demands. And I think that has summed his tenure up perfectly, because the fans demanded something from these players, and they're getting it now. You've got a team that, like we've both said, you feel proud of. You feel like you can connect with in a way, and that there's a lot of characters in there that you can just fall in love with, really. You mentioned Makama. I think every Norwich fan is devastated now that he's not probably going to play until the last couple of games of the season. But you then have Mo Toure, who I don't know how you can't love him at the moment. He scores a hat-trick on his first start. He scored 5 goals from 5 shots as a Norwich City player. That's that is a ridiculous conversion rate for anyone at any level of football. But no, I'm liking him, even if he says he might take his own life if he doesn't score a hat trick in a game. That was certainly interesting, and I really hope he doesn't, because he's a bloody good player. So I'll be quite devastated if he goes anywhere that isn't playing for Norwich. But anyhow, we'll get back onto it, because talking about the attacking dynamic of play, of course it's great and Norwich look brave, but I feel like there's still some issues there, especially in that right wing position. Jurasek's out for, I want to say, another 9 weeks. Oscar Svartal went off with a hamstring injury against West Brom, so that instantly makes you think, oh, goodness me, because there's a player who, right wing is probably his third best position on the pitch, and he's still doing a good job of it, but he's now not there. So then you look at the right wing position, Diallo's injured as well, so it's then a thing of, well, why didn't they maybe sign that winger in January? And a lot of people said, no, they don't really need it because we got players there who are doing a job. But then, of course, injuries had to hit, because that's just how it works in football. But I think that's a big thing, really, for myself. I don't know about you, but just that right wing position, it's not really been secured throughout the whole season, really. There's not been one name who has made that position theirs as such. So I guess what I'm really trying to say, what's the best solution for Norwich going forward? That yes, there's another 2.5 months left of the season, but what can they do going forward from now? Because the only other option they have is Tony Springett, who, I was all for the Tony Springett sort of rejuvenation in December and early January, but for me, he shouldn't be near a championship team. But what do you think Norwich could be doing in that position for the rest of the season?
Yeah, it's a very difficult conundrum, really. I'm firstly hoping that Oscar Schwartau is fit and his injury wasn't too serious, because I think he's really shown over the last, probably since Christmas onwards, I think he's correlated all of his endeavour, which he's shown towards the first half of the season. And I think he's matched that also with some genuine quality as well. I don't know if you saw, Freddie, that absolutely fantastic run which he made in the FA Cup last week against West Brom, where he almost sprinted about 60 yards at the pitch from his own penalty area and created an absolutely brilliant chance for an assist. I think it was for maybe Ali Ahmed, or no, actually, so I think it was Jacob Wright, wasn't it? And yeah, so I generally hope that that his injury isn't too bad, because I think right now, especially, is in a really, really good vein of form, and I think as well that performance against Blackburn off the bench was fantastic as well. So hopefully his injury isn't too serious. I think it's a positive that we've got Michael Fulton come back into the team as well. Hopefully that should give us some more options there as well. I reckon probably Clement will try and ease him in, and probably not maybe start from off against Birmingham. But it feels like, as you said, with our right wing depth now being again very, very limited, that maybe Fulton might have to play a bit more minutes than I think that him and Clement would have liked, actually, because I feel like we've got a 3-game week coming up, and I think every player that is available is going to be huge for us as well. So the conundrum for me is that I still don't know, really, to be honest with you, into that right wing slot, because so many players this year have shown a bit of promise in patches, but they haven't been able to construct that full 90-minute performance of genuine quality and genuine output. And I think this is why I've got so much respect as well for actually Callum Fisher, because I think he's actually shown across the last few weeks that his end product is definitely improving as well. And I think arguably he's probably really been our best threat on the right-hand side, and he's played fullback most of the season as well. So I do have some respect for Fisher in that regard as well. He's had so much partners as well on the right flank as well. So hopefully we get some more players back from injury as well. But a little idea to take with Freddie as well. Would you maybe consider playing Kvisgarten out wide right? Look, I know it's a very, very unnatural position for him, but the games that he has played, he's really, really sharp in patches. And I just feel if we're allowing Liam Gibbs to try and play right wing, and if we're shifting out Oscar Schwartz to play right wing when they're more centrally orientated players, then surely can we try Kvisgarten out wide as well? Because I've watched all the options that Clement and Malik has played this season, and no one has really made that role their own. So I'm just kind of maybe asking a question, like maybe could Kvis maybe play a role out wide right, or do you just think having that genuine goal scoring option of the bench maybe is more important as well? And as well as that, I was actually quite impressed with McCarmer out wide right as well. I know that's probably quite a weird opinion to have, and I know that I've been spending a lot of the Christmas period, especially on this channel, trying to debate that with Jack and everybody else really about how I've been impressed with McCarmer out wide right. But I'm just thinking, should Norwich maybe try Kavista out wide right? Because I can't really think of many solutions right now, and because our squad is so thin.
No, that there isn't many. The only other option you've got is, do you put an academy player in there? That's simply the only other option. But I don't really think Norwich should be looking at doing something like that this late on in a season. I think if a player was good enough to be playing there already, they would be there. The only sort of academy player who's been in and around it is Errol Mundle-Smith, but by all accounts, he's more a centre forward than a winger. So there's no point trying to shoehorn him there of all people. But I don't mind the idea of Chris Gordon playing in that sort of position. He's played in a different, well, in loads of different ones throughout his career. You know, even at Brøndby, he was put as a number 10, put as a sole striker, used in wide areas, sort of mainly more the left-hand side than the right. But it could well work, and because he does give a lot of effort whenever he plays. You know, he presses well and he chases down the ball, and he's desperate to win it back when the opposition have got it. He's very much a handful to deal with. And yes, he's not had the tenure he would have liked. I think he's only started 5 championship games, and albeit he scored a handful of goals, which is nice, but considering this was the player that everyone was told to be excited about, I don't really get why he's not had this chance under Philippe Clement. So I would certainly like it. I think it would be a smart decision because he is a attacking-minded player who will give you 100%. But it's then that thing of, I just don't think Philippe Clement really rates him in terms of what he wants from his players, which I think is a bit peculiar because he sort of gives everything that Philippe Clement said he wants in his players to work hard and be fit and be physical and just try and be a nuisance for opposition, which he showcased he can be when he's played. But I don't know. I would do it personally. I think it's a good idea, but I just don't know if Philippe Clement would do it because I just don't think there's not exactly a belief. I just don't think that he thinks he can just give him what he wants, maybe. So maybe it is a lack of belief, but I don't know. If I was on the training pitch every day, I would know. I'd be able to bring you those answers. But yeah, I don't mind it at all. But sort of going back onto these injuries here, just in terms of the wider sort of thing, obviously the aim at Norwich, albeit this is sort of a bit unrelated, but the aim at Norwich is obviously, as we both know, they want to be a Premier League team. It's been just said by pretty much everyone at the club, managers and members of the board, that they want to be in the top flight. But when you've got injury crisis like Norwich are having at the moment, like they've already had this season, like they've had for 6 or 7 seasons or something like that. When are they going to be a Premier League team? Like this is what maybe is it hindering them? You think, even though Liam Manning, yes, the football was bad. We all know it was bad, but there were a lot of injuries under Johannes Oftorup. The football at points was, oh my goodness, it was really good, but there was so many injuries. So, albeit this is sort of going off on a massive tangent from if you play Chris Gordon at right wing because no one else is there. But maybe if there was more options there and Norwich didn't have as many injuries throughout the course of this season and many gone by, could they maybe have achieved that goal? Or is it because, do you think if injuries ended and Philippe Clement, for let's say he had no one injured at the moment and he had everyone available, yes, that's a very idyllic world in football and you very rarely get it. But let's say everything continued the way it was, Norwich were playing the way they were, getting the same results. If they had everyone available, could they have made a case for being a Premiership side?
Well, I think this season there's been key moments which I think have probably affected us. And that probably might actually cost us in terms of us making it ground to the playoffs. I think going away from the injuries for a second, you look back to the Fulham 1-1 against Sheffield United. You look back to the horrific defending for the goal that Oxford scored at home as well. And there's just two examples there, and as well as that, I think there's many more. As well as that, conceding a really poor goal late against Leicester as well. Like there's case studies and scenarios there where if Norwich were a bit more concentrated and a bit more clinical and a bit more firm in those moments, then the complexion of the season could arguably be much different, because the middle part of the league this year is very tight, it's very congested, and I think there'll definitely be a platform or an opportunity there if Norwich were a bit more streetwise or a bit more creative in those moments, really. So I think for me, although you could maybe argue that Norwich still do have a slight chance of getting playoffs because we've got a very, very favourable three games coming up, albeit I think Birmingham, as we'll touch on in a second, will be a very, very difficult game for us. But we've got chances there against Sheffield Wednesday at home, where obviously their situation speaks for itself right now, unfortunately. And you've got Leicester away there as well, where their form isn't fantastic as well. So although maybe some fans might still naively potentially think that the playoffs is on, I think we have to take a deeper look about why Norwich probably haven't been a playoff team or a playoff racing team across the last few seasons as well. Albeit the big anomaly was that Wagner playoff campaign. Norwich have been affected with so much injuries now, as you say, for the last 6 seasons. It feels like they've had a crisis at least once every season. And for me, if you are going to achieve something very special, you've always got to keep your best players fit. And I know that's so difficult in a 50-game season, but that's what gets you the best chance of getting promoted. Money just can't be the solution all the time to fix your problems. I think there's a great scenario during the January transfer window as well, where I think some fans were calling maybe to get a left back into the club due to the Lucy Mahovu and Ben Crescenti injuries, or Ben Crescenti was, I think, probably actually coming back. But then again, you probably can't trust Crescenti's fitness overall. But there was some calls as well to try, maybe, of course, if you get a loan signing in, but as well as that, just try and get a defender in the building. And I really don't like that narrative, because although you have to protect your squad and fill holes when it's true, and I'm not saying that the Harry Amas signing wasn't a clever one, but I just think it's quite sad how Norwich always having to go back into the market because their players just keep getting injured. Like, I think Lucy Mahovu and Ben Crescenti are two very, very good fullbacks in this division. And I just do feel like if we're constantly having to go into the transfer market every window to try and replace players that are injured again for long periods of time, then I think, one, that also costs you a lot of money, because there's no degree that the replacements which come in can hit the ground running immediately. But I just don't think it's very, very sustainable either. And I think there's got to be, I know there's been all these internal audits about how the fitness department and how the injury side of things has been working the last few years. But it's something Norwich have got to crack, because I think although there was some injuries at times in 18-19 season, and obviously the lockdown season as well, where we got promoted, I just don't think in this day and age, especially, that no team can be successful if they can't keep all their team together, really. And I think you look at the Leeds teams that have got promoted in the past, like, their scores, I feel like, have been quite thin at times this season, and their score is just naturally thin. But they managed to keep all their players fit. And secondly, as well, we were saying as well at the start of the season about how bloated our squad was. We've got so much options everywhere, but it always feels like we get into a situation where we're like then saying, "Oh my God, the squad is now so thin." It just feels like there's got to be more done there. Like, how are we getting all the time, getting into scenarios where, again, we've got about 10 plus players out again. It's just not very helpful. And I feel like if we are to create something special, we've got to have players that are fit and that can keep on delivering really good performances at a good level, and also at a very good fitness level. Because I think the best teams show connectivity, they show fluidity, and they show chemistry. I think the best strength of that 18-19 squad for me was the team's chemistry. It was just how smooth everything felt, and how the style of play was so intrinsic, and how players were just matching with each other all across the pitch. I think of the Steveman and Pookie dynamic and stuff like that as well. And I think over the last few years at Norwich, like, we seem to find a very, very good start of a partnership. You look at the likes of Makama and how he was linking to Samani and Schwarto, etc., and stuff like that as well. So I just want Norwich to just try and keep some more players fit, because I do genuinely worry, like, if we actually get out of this league, if we keep having 10 plus players out injured, because those sort of things really affect you. And this league is already full of just such full bonus anyway. So I just think, for me, if there was one question about us next season, obviously we will invest, and Clement's stock is now really high and he showcases qualities. My main concluding thought is, I'm really, really happy with the direction of this team, but can we achieve something special if we're constantly having periods of the season where we're having like 10 plus players out? And for me, I can't really answer that in confidence right now, and that worries me a little bit. So I just hope more attention gets paid to that, because it's such a big factor in the modern game, and especially now as well.
Yeah, no, you do need it. It's a big thing, because having your best team available and all them playing well, it brings confidence. When you play well in any position in football, it brings you confidence. And when you win games as a collective and you get on with one another as a collective, that's a big thing. I think we've seen that at times this season, and annoyingly, it's been both to do with departures. You look at the departure of that Chilean midfielder who I dare not say the name of. You look at the game we played at the match after against Blackburn. We won 2-0. It was one of only 3 or 4 wins under Liam Manning, but they were battling for one another in that game, and the celebrations you saw from goals from Josh Sargent, funnily enough, everyone was together. All the fans were connected with the team in that moment. And then you look at now with Sargent sort of just chucking the toys out the pram. Since then, Norwich have lost twice. It's incredible that they've been on this great run without arguably the best striker they've had since the departure of Teemu Pukki. And everyone does look together, that they are just running through brick walls for one another. They're all so invested in this project with one another. So that's a big thing. Of course, it makes you want to believe in it. But like you said, just there's so few people fit, and that then it continues to raise questions about the medical team at Norwich and just what is going on there, because there seems to be issues with so many players so often. I really do begin to question just what is going on in terms of strength and conditioning coaches and the medical staff, and even what are players may be doing in training to be getting these injuries out of nowhere. It just seems a bit bizarre to me. But anyway, we can go back to a bit more positivity maybe and a bit more belief, because it's a week where you think Norwich can do really well here, and they could end the month of February unbeaten if they play their cards right. They've got Birmingham City at Carrow Road this coming Saturday. That's their toughest game of February by a mile. Birmingham are unbeaten in 9. They've not lost on the road since New Year's Day. They gave Leeds a really good match in the FA Cup, and they're a talented side with a lot of good players. Yeah, I got to watch them when we mentioned at the start of the video my final score thing, just to bring it back. I watched them play Oxford, and I thought Birmingham were really good, especially impressed by Ibrahim Osman, who they've got on loan from Brighton. Really direct player, very skillful player. Carlos Vicente should be nowhere near the Championship. The fact they brought him in from Deportivo Alaves is remarkable for me. I think he's a really, really talented individual. And then there are good players in there, like they showcased in Philippe Clement's first game. We got absolutely swept aside. But then again, it was his first game in charge. No one really knew the tactics of him because they didn't have long to work with it. But that's just what happened. But you then look at the games after that. They got Sheffield Wednesday next Wednesday. If that isn't 3 points, then alarm bells for me. You've got to. I know they're in a horrible position, and I shouldn't really just kick them while they're down. But they, even without a points deduction, what is it, 11 points or something like that over the course of the season? Just you've got to beat a team like that. And then Leicester away, again in a bad position. Gary Rowett has just come in as manager, so they could have a new manager bounce. He's a good manager for the Championship for teams in scenarios like Leicester are. But I mean, any team that is 3-0 up in a game and loses it 4-3, should probably be beating. So you can believe it in that. You think Norwich can. Mate, if they got 7 points, I'd be over the moon. Even if they got 6 points and lost to Birmingham, I'd still be happy because for me, I don't know about you. For me, I'm personally expecting 6 points from 9. That may be a little bit recency bias and perhaps a teensy bit naive, but I think should be getting 6 points minimum. If we got anything more than that, then I'd be extremely impressed. But what do you make of that? Because like I've just said, Birmingham in really good form, a good side, but with how well this team's been playing, you can't help but believe in them and think they can get sort of a couple of points here.
Yeah, and I'd probably go as far as to say that probably if you were to exclude Ipswich, sorry about that. I would probably suggest that Birmingham probably have got four of the best wingers in the league. As you say, that Carlos Vicente is a really good player as well. Coupled alongside that Ibrahim Osman, and as well as that Damari Gray, who again has showed real quality this season and it's a real live wire, especially in the FA Cup tie against Leeds as well. So that's one area of the game where Norwich got to be really switched on at the weekends. I think I've been largely impressed with Ben Crescene across the season, but I feel like the times he has struggled this season has been when he has played a very direct player who's got he's got real good like speedy qualities, and I think that Ibrahim Osman has got that in abundance. So if Crescene beat Osman is a match for the weekend, I do fear for him. I think one example, especially where Crescene looked a bit vulnerable, was the game against Wrexham, where I think it was Issa Kabora gave him quite a tough afternoon for a spell as well. So hopefully Norwich can try and nullify their two wide players because they've got so much quality in the area of the pitch as well. I've also as well been really impressed with their CDM. I think his son goes by the name of Solis. I think they brought him on loan as well. He looks a real good hard tackling CDM, real good passing range. But as well as that, he's got a lot of mobility and strength as well. And I think he's very good at intercepting bits of play as well. So I do expect Birmingham's probably best method of scoring to be on the counter attack as well, and they are quite a positive team in that regard as well. So I'll be very intrigued to see how Norwich go about this game as well, and if they have got an injury in Oscar Schwartau as well. Again, that's also for me quite a big blow, especially as you are going into a 3-game week. Because let's get this real, although Norwich have been fantastic across the last 2 games, they still aren't safe for me. I think they still need probably about another 12 more points, and that probably is a 4 more wins, I'd say, as well. So I just think this season, it feels like every time Norwich get a result, someone else also does get a result as well with them as well. So it feels like maybe to be safe around 52 points is probably the marker for me this season. Sorry. So yeah, and then obviously the game against Wednesday, their situation is very sad at the minute as well, and I do wish them well. But I feel, as you say, 7 points would be a very good week for Norwich. And again, some might say potentially if we do go on, and if there is a scenario where we win all 3 of those games, could we just do it? Could we just squeak away into the playoff mix? For me, I'm going to be a boring. I'll be boring. I just can't see us getting to the playoffs right now. I feel like the squad personnel is getting a bit weaker in terms of depth at the minute, albeit it's really good to have Forson back. If he is, I think I saw some footage of him training today as well. So that's a real big encouragement for Norwich, and that's definitely small numbers in the building. But yeah, I feel like Birmingham probably have more quality than us right now in terms of fitness wise. And as you say, there was a narrative before probably Christmas where Birmingham had quite a poor away record. I think obviously now, as you said, that has now picked up, and I think they've won 3 of the last 4 away games. So they're a really good, decent side now, and I think more importantly, it'll be a very good game to watch. I think 2 good teams going at it, and let's hope Norwich do come out on the right side of it as well. And look, we've got some real info players of our own. Anis Ben Samani's been great. Mo Tori's been great as well. So let's hope that link up can light up again, and as well as that, have a bit of flair as well from Ali Ahmed as well. So I think Norwich, what I'd say, is have got some real good starting players right now who are in really good form. Maybe not so much informed players off the bench right now, but let's hope if they can all work together in a really, really good collaborative manner, then they can get 3 points against Birmingham and then another 3 onwards past that, really. But as I say, I think it probably could be either a week of opportunity for Norwich or maybe as such, just a week of clarity as well. Like, even if we get 4 points, is that the end of the world? Probably not, because after these next 3 games, we still have 10 games left as well. So I think even if we get a minimum of 4 points, it'd be an okay week. But as you say, Clement demands so much of his team right now as well. So he'll want 9 points. He'll go for 9 points. That is what I love about Clement as well. So let's see what happens. But really, really, really excited for that Birmingham game. I think it's going to be 2 really good teams going at it.
Yeah, that'll be a great game. I think that will be, we talk about how Norwich have had a couple of tests really against some good sides so far since Clement has come in. You think back to the game against Wrexham and even games against teams below them are testing, because it makes you think, right, well, how much better are they than them? And I think really just the Oxford game completely showed it. We were miles better than them, which is why, I know you said you still don't think Norwich are maybe safe. You think they maybe need a couple more wins, but it's just, for me, the performances against teams below them, especially as of late, I think we're perfectly fine, really. I think those sides below Norwich are poor. They are, for me. I just don't think that they've got anywhere near sort of the potential and quality that this Norwich team has at the moment. That could come back to bite me maybe, but I think that's just how it is. But yeah, I agree with you there as well. 4 points certainly wouldn't be disastrous to come out of it with a win, a draw, and a loss. It's not the end of the world, but like you said, Philippe Clement will demand 9 points, and we could well get 9 points. But this Birmingham game for me it's a test, because yes, they're in the middle of the table, but they've got plenty more points than Norwich do, and they're not far off the playoffs themselves, and they are a very good team. Those January signings have definitely bolstered them, and as we know, last season they just wiped the floor with League One. But when you spend nearly £20 million on Jay Stansfield, you should probably be romping League One for me. But yeah, I'm excited for that game. It's a shame I can't really watch it myself, but yeah, I'm looking forward to that game. I think that will, if Norwich can come out with a win, again, it just shows how serious they are for me, and how Philippe Clement has transformed them. But they beat Coventry, they beat Wrexham, they stand every chance. They do stand every chance, but we will see what they can do. It's going to be intriguing to see the selection and how it's all approached by Philippe Clement and Chris Davies, but as their tactical counterparts, just trying to figure each other out. That'll be a good game for anyone to watch. I think for me, it's biased maybe because I support one of the clubs, but I think for me that is the game to watch this weekend. I think that's that if there was on the EFL highlights, expect that one to be coming up early, unless it ends 0-0 and it's really dull. But anyway, that's all from me and Will on Nodge Spotlight in this instalment. What do you think Norwich are going to do for the rest of the month of February in their 3 games? Are they going to get 9 points? Will they maybe get 7? Will they get 4? Will they get none? We'd both love to hear what you say, and we'll respond to you and see your sides of it. So let us know in the comments down below. And if you haven't already, so make sure you subscribe to the channel and like the video. If you've enjoyed it, let us know. Leave a like. Just hit the like button, as a lot of YouTubers say. Turn that red button not red anymore. Let it say subscribe next to it. But we hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll see you for the next video of ours.